Welcome to the Embodied Wisdom Podcast.
You know what I could do if you would like? I have a poem that I could read that you might enjoy.
Oh,
It's not mine. It's
yes.
not an original poem. It's one that I ran across that I found. I did a session the other day, and did we talk about a goddess bath?
No, tell me about this.
No, I don't want to tell you about it. I want you to experience it.
Okay.
No, but so a goddess bath, it's a devotional exercise, I guess, or experience where if you were to receive a goddess bath from me, you would be in a bathtub with, bath bombs of your favorite color, and I would sprinkle you with petals from flowers, and you would go through a tasting ritual, and yeah, just varying degrees. It's a multisensory experience, right? With flowers,
Wow.
tastes, and smells, and touch, and um, yeah, it's a very devotional, luxurious experience. And one of the things that I do that I don't know that anybody else does. First of all, I don't know anybody else who does this. Personally, I heard about guys that do it, but I do it. It's very tailored. And then one of the things I will do is I will bring in poetry either by request or I will find what I think is right poetry. Sometimes I'll even write some original things and I will read because there's demand. I've been asked to do it, so I just started offering it. And I did one of these. I did a goddess bath. Actually, it was a double goddess bath. It was two women who wanted to be in the tub together. And I did this for both of them. And I found this poem that really seemed to be resonant for, what I knew about them. And I've just been sharing it because it speaks to so many women. And it's a poem called She Let Go by a poet named Sapphire Rose. So would you like, it's not too long.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, please grace us with
All
this.
right, I'm gonna
She let
I'm
go.
gonna I'm gonna move to a different microphone.
Okay.
I think it sounds better. Okay. She let go. She let go without a thought or a word. She let go. She let go of the fear. She let go of the judgments. She let go of the confluence of opinions swarming around her head. She let go of the committee of indecision within her. She let go of all the right reasons, wholly and completely, without hesitation or worry. She just let go. She didn't ask anyone for advice. She didn't read a book on how to let go. She didn't search the scriptures. She just let go. She let go of all of the memories that held her back. She let go of all the anxiety that kept her from moving forward. She let go of the planning and all of the calculations about how to do it just right. She didn't promise to let go. She didn't journal about it. She didn't write the projected date in her planner. She made no public announcement and put no ad in the paper. She didn't check the weather report or read her daily horoscope. She just let go. She didn't analyze whether she should let go. She didn't call her friends to discuss the matter. She didn't do a 5-step spiritual mind treatment. She didn't call the prayer line. She didn't utter one word. She just let go. No one was around when it happened. There was no applause or congratulations. No one thanked her or praised her. No one noticed a thing. Like a leaf falling from a tree, she just let go. There was no effort. There was no struggle. It wasn't good and it wasn't bad. It was what it was and it is just that. In the space of letting go, she let it all be. A smile came over her face. A light breeze blew through her, and the sun and the moon shone forevermore.
Wow. That's so beautiful. Ah, I find myself just wanting to take a deep breath after that. Like,
Yeah. Why don't we take a deep breath?
ah, that was absolutely delicious.
Thank you. Thank you for letting me share that. That's been on my heart, so I've been sharing it freely.
Oh, I just love it. The feeling, the words I would describe you as the nurturer of the feminine.
I
Dennis,
love
that is just like your essence. That is your like gift that you give the world of like, I know you use the word safe a lot,
that.
but I think it's so much more than safety. I think it's really this nurturing part where you're not afraid to see her. You're not, I think the word is there's no competition, right? I feel like between the masculine and feminine, there's been like this competition or struggle and it's just so beautiful when there's just no competition and a man can see the feminine for her gifts and honor the gifts without needing to receive back.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that reflection, and I do feel that way. I hope to be generous. I hope to be giving. I mean, I like to receive too, but I don't like to
Yeah.
take.
Yeah.
I honestly think that's really where most of us are. I think we get conditioned to take because if we don't take, we don't get anything, or we feel like that.
Yeah. I want you to
So,
explain the difference.
well, so taking energy, you kind of know it when you feel it, and it's the easiest way to describe it, honestly, is in sexual interaction, right? And this is what I see with women I work with. That part of the reason that women, I think, struggle, and this is everybody. Like I don't want to, I don't want to shortchange that everybody has their experiences, right? But I'm talking about women because that's who I work with. And women, I think, get conditioned to be very performative, right? And when was the last time you spent time with a man, sexually or otherwise, but certainly sexually, where you felt like you were being given to without expectation versus being given to as a down payment on something you were supposed to give back,
Hmm.
if that makes sense, right? So,
Yeah.
there's genuine giving and then there's giving to get and then there's sharing, right? Sharing and consensual sharing. That's what we want, right? Is we want relationships that are consensual sharing, that we're together and we're sharing our energy together, and that's so beautiful when it happens. And sometimes you just deserve to be seen, heard, held, and to receive in your divine feminine energy from someone who wants to give to you.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way to do that, just like you in your own work, the only way you show up in service and in giving to other people is by having your needs met somewhere in your life,
Mm-hmm.
right? If you show up in need, if you show up empty, you're going to be clamoring for anything that will fill up that empty spot, which leads to taking energy, right? So this is why it's so important to put yourself first and care for yourself and make sure that you are showing up fully able to give from a divine place and not using giving as a manipulation technique to get what you want.
How
Does that
could
help?
one, yeah, and how could one know what energy they're in when they have, like for instance, how can someone check their expectations? How can someone even tune into, hey, what energy am I
Mhm.
giving this in?
So a way to think about it is to stop and really check in with yourself. This is one way. I mean, I'm sure there are multiple ways. This is the way I do it and the way that I teach it is to really check in with yourself and say, in this experience that's about to happen, what would happen if it doesn't go the way I want it to? Right? How would that feel? Would I feel rejected? Am I afraid of that? Am I afraid that it's not going to go my way? Would I feel less than? Would I feel unimportant? Would I feel broken, empty, sad? What would I feel? Or would I be able to say, yeah, I really don't have an attachment to outcome here. And if it doesn't go according to any expectation, that's okay. And everybody will be fine. Right? If you have that contraction that says, if this doesn't go according to my expectation, I'm going to be severely disappointed or even hurt. That to me is an indication that you are really using someone else's energy to fill a void in your life rather than being in divine service and connection with them. And it's kind of a felt sense. Like often I think that I think we feel it before we know it. You get this contraction in your solar plexus or in your sacral area or again, particularly in sex, you get kind of that point of, okay, this is going to happen. And then you have that moment of feeling like, do I really want this to happen? So this leads into a little bit about, what we can talk about with Tantra because it's about pushing edges like that where you have this internal conflict. Like, should I or shouldn't I? We're at this point, I have to make a choice. and I have this internal conflict. So the checking yourself is really, what is the emotion that's processing through me right now? Do I have doubt? And what is that doubt coming from? Um, I was saying to someone the other day that sometimes we ride this line that says, I'm an amazing person, right? And I deserve to be treated this way, and I deserve to be seen and heard, and I'm not going to accept anything less because I love myself and I care for myself that deeply. And then sometimes it is, I really need to be treated this way by other people so I can remember that I'm valuable and deserve to be, you know. So that's the difference between having needs and being needy, and showing up with that giving energy versus that taking energy. And
Hmm.
that's not a clean, distinct answer. We could probably distill it further, but I think that's how you know. I think you listen to your body. You don't reason it out. Um, and yeah, you say, am I in this? Am I in this experience no matter the outcome?
Hmm. That's kind of deep too, because then you have to look at, because you said, if this doesn't go the way I want it to go,
Hmm.
which automatically says there's an expectation,
Exactly.
right? So, and do you think, when you really think about it, is there any way that something could be purely a give?
No, I don't.
Because,
I don't. Yeah, I don't believe in complete altruism. I get a lot out of my giving. I love to,
right.
right? But what I get, I mean, I don't give to take, right? I gain a lot of satisfaction out of being able to be in my purpose and serve. Maybe serve is a better word than give.
Yeah.
But I think
Because because I was thinking about like taking, and taking would be, because if you whittle it down, there's things like, even I hate to go here, but it's kind of a big one of like, you think of a child, right? When someone takes advantage of a child sexually, it's like, I do a lot of trauma work around that. And oftentimes it's just more confusion, right? And I think it's all the beliefs around us about sexuality and what, the good and bad parts of it, right? It's all belief based. And so it's like the taking, that's what I think of when it comes to taking, because there's oftentimes women, you know, do something sexually with a man and they don't even know they don't really want it,
right.
right? So that's what you brought up when you said taking. Wait, what did you say about this? You said, I forgot what you said about it, where she doesn't even know that she doesn't want it. Like they don't even know really
Yeah.
that they
Yeah.
don't want that.
That's right. Yeah, because you're just so programmed into it that you're there to be, I don't know, to defer your needs to somebody else, right? So maybe a simpler example for you, and then that your audience might appreciate, I don't know, is you have these experiences, I don't know, it's a Thursday night, things are feeling a little amorous, they start going, and it's all beautiful, but then your man starts just moving way too fast. He won't slow down. He's not attending to you. And it becomes clear that he has a goal, right? He has a goal. And what you want is you want connection and nurturing. And yeah, you want to get there. Like you probably have the same goal, but you kind of want to run the gauntlet and be in this connection and to enjoy the whole process from beginning to end. And you don't want to be, you don't want things to go fast and you don't want things to go before you're aroused and ready and feeling, but he just wants to go, right? And that to me becomes taking energy. It's not partnership. It's not attuned to you. And you don't need to have, I'm not saying every love making session should be a 3 or 4 hour session. You just want to be attuned to, right? And paid attention to. But um, I think, I think we maybe mentioned this last time, and this is maybe a little bit of a stretch, but a healthy person has 1,000 goals and a sick person has one, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you are in need, if you are feeling depleted and needy, and let's say it's a man in his sexual need, and he's feeling that I need this, then that's all he's going to go for, is to have that need met. right? If you're hungry, you just want to
Mm.
get the meal. And so I think it's really important to just slow down and say, can I get control of that? Right. And if it is coming at you from this, that's the taking energy, right?
Yeah,
It's,
and I'm
I
thinking
want to
of
take from you what I need from you.
And I'm thinking of the balance. So outside of the bedroom, because that's how the energy works in the bedroom, but I'm looking outside of the bedroom in the
Yeah.
relationship and seeing the imbalance in the relationship where the power has to be equal across the board,
Right.
or else, for the man, there might not be sex. For the woman, there might not be that connection that she desires. So
Right.
it's like for both of them, they're not getting their needs met outside of the
Right.
bedroom. And so how that looks inside the bedroom is, especially if this has been going on for years and years. So my goal is to get it right outside of the bedroom so that the
Yeah.
bedroom can be as magical, but it's just going to reflect the overall energy of the relationship, right?
Hmm. So it's
So
all like it's about needs, right? It's about being able to communicate your needs and being able to communicate them and find ways to meet them before they become the illness that put you into this taking space. Um,
yeah.
and then to have that, you need to feel safe to communicate those things. He does, you do.
Hmm.
Um,
And so I'm wondering for you, wh- because what I've personally noticed in the world is that sex used to be mostly masculine, right? And now I'm seeing a lot more women being the ones with more of an appetite. Are you noticing that within your work?
oh, I think the appetites are there. I think they've always been there. I think women have been emboldened in the right way to say, I expect and deserve to be in my pleasure.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's important. It's important to the work that I do because a woman in her pleasure is also very much connected to her creativity and her
Yes.
power, which is um, um, that's a force, right? That is a life force energy. We talked about that last time, right? So yeah, I'm glad that's happening. I think that men and men's work has not done a good job of keeping up with the power that women now have to say, yeah, look, sex is important to me too. I want it, and I'm going to dictate the terms because I'm not going to just have I don't want to just have sex to check it off the list. If you're not going to enjoy yourself, why do it? Go eat ice cream, right?
Yeah. Or
I
take care
mean,
of it yourself.
you don't want it to be performative. And yeah,
Yeah.
if it's just about the release, you can do that in 10 minutes on your own. You
Right.
not put up with his bullshit, right?
Yeah,
So,
and I think that's what we're seeing out in the world today, as the feminine is rising and she no longer needs the man.
mhm,
There is just this real big swing in the opposite way, and men I noticed are they are very confused
uh-huh,
because they're like, why isn't this working anymore? What can I do? And yet they don't necessarily want to do their inner work. But I think at some point they're going to be thrusted into it because, the women are demanding it,
yeah, it's
right?
happening now. I mean, I'm starting. It's there. Like, there's the no nice guy movement, which is really good. I mean, it's saying that a nice guy is a guy who just collapses all of his own. He's a martyr, basically.
Yeah.
Well, martyrs aren't sexy. Guardians are sexy. Martyrs aren't. Protectors are sexy, but rescuers aren't.
Hmm.
Warriors are sexy, but destroyers aren't, right? So men, in the absence of having role models and ways of learning, are living in their shadows. Whereas women are doing the work and saying, I'm coming out of this. I'm not going to live in my shadow. I'm not going to live I'm not going to live suppressed. And that, women's liberation means I get to have choices, right? And if one of those is to stay at home and raise my kids, that's my fucking choice, and I'm going to take it.
Hmm.
It's not about anything more than that, than you having the choices you want. And if your choice is to, whatever choices you have in terms of sexual selection is your choice, right? And how you want that to be. So I think women are collectively calling men forth. Some of
Yeah.
us, I hope I'm one of them that is stepping up. Some of them won't. What does that look like? But I think that a woman in her power is drawn to a very different kind of man, than a woman in her shadow and in her, and that is, still living according to cultural conditioning and programming.
Well, I'm seeing a lot of women in that in between. They are still drawn to like the toxic man, but then they get there and they're like, oh,
Mhm.
so they're not quite attracted to the healed man yet. So they're kind of in this in between. So it's interesting. And a lot of healers and light workers, they're single and they're like, where's my match? Where's my match? And I'm like, they're everywhere. There's one here, there's one like they're around, but they're not quite finding each other yet. And I think it's just sometimes we need to hold that in between space to really get clear on
Mhm.
what it is that we want. And oftentimes we're climbing that really high. You know,
Mhm.
we want this, and the next day we want this, and the next day we want this. So it's really about figuring out, and I think that's what a lot of your work is about figuring out exactly what one wants. Is that correct?
I think that's yeah. It is very much about that. What do you really want, and where are you tolerating, and where's that
Yeah.
draining your energy, right? And a lot of women that I work with, like they're so heart led that if they find a man that is doing the work, he doesn't have to be a finished product. They just want to know he's doing the work, right? He's trying to be better. He's trying to understand himself, trying to understand her, trying to show up. The men that are doing the work, uh, most women are like, yeah, that's a guy, that's the kind of man I want. I just want the man who's willing to look at himself and do the work and try to be better.
Yeah.
Uh, I don't want the man who's like intellectually and emotionally lazy.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and
And that's another question that I was going to ask you. It's like, because we don't want perfectionism. Perfectionism is
yeah,
it's false, like it's not a real thing. But also, sometimes I'm finding that with some of my women that are doing the work and on their healing journey is they're kind of looking for that perfect guy.
mhm,
And I have to let them know that they're going to be looking forevermore because there's no such thing.
mhm,
And yet, so where do we find that middle ground of like, no one's going to be perfect. And yet there is someone that's,
mhm.
going to be helpful for you on your journey or a good fit for you.
And my question would be, are they looking or are they waiting to be found
They're
by him?
waiting to be found.
Yeah, they're waiting to be found by him.
Yeah.
Are they really looking? What does it mean to be looking? Are you fishing where the fish are? Like if you're not out meeting people, like what does that look like?
That's a
And
very good point
yeah,
because that is a lot of women. They are waiting to be found. They're not doing much to be proactive. For instance, some of the single ladies I've been working, I'm like, okay, so where are you going
hmm
outside of your norms? And they're like looking at me like I'm crazy. Well, how are you going to find someone new in all the old places that you go to, all the familiar places?
hmm
It's like impossible. So what would be your advice to a woman who wants to be found, for instance?
initiate a conversation.
Yeah.
Don't wait to be, don't wait for him to come talk to you. If you're interested, go say you're interested. I mean, and it doesn't
You
have
think
to.
guys want that?
I know they do.
They do.
Absolutely, they do. And they'll respond to it. I mean, this is the thing of where men are right now is because women are so powerful, they don't know how to even approach a woman anymore. I think I saw
Ooh.
something the other day that like 25% or something of men in the US under the age of 30 or something have never asked a woman out in person, right? We don't, it's scary, right? It's scary. It's really easy to feel like you're saying the wrong thing. Like I am a person who I'm very sort of, what is it Andrew Carnegie said was like hearty or lavish in my approbation and hearty in my praise. I love to give compliments.
Uh-huh.
I love it. I mean, I just love to recognize every little thing about someone's work, about everything about them. And if I say, oh, like I can look at you right now and say your hair is really attractive today. It's just really reaching out to me. I just like it, but men, like, we get a little squeamish about that. Is it okay for me to compliment you on your looks?
Really?
Or is that not okay? Because some women get offended by, like, hey, I'm more than just what you see. It is like that. It is,
Yeah.
it's scary. It can be scary and frightening for a man to know, what can I say? What can I, like, I don't want to approach her and be immediately
Mm.
shut down or scared, so they don't do anything. Now they've got work to do on their own there, but at the same time, there's even with powerful women, there's still this paradigm that it's men who have to take the vulnerable risk. It's men who have to risk rejection, not women.
That is such a good point.
Right? So there's a
Yeah.
desire from men, I think, a little bit for kind of an equal playing field there. If
Hmm.
you're interested in me, come say something.
Yeah, and I think that is like I'm thinking about myself. I have a lot of masculine that I've been, you know, I'd say balancing out over the course of my adulthood. And that calls for a more effeminate man. So I had to learn how to soften myself so that I wasn't attracting a female like man, a super effeminate man. But I'm thinking also because I used that was like the aggressive quality. I didn't mind letting someone know when I liked them or, even doing some of the pursuing. So, but I look at the really feminine women and they're not like that. They have to be pursued. So, yeah, I'm really looking at this understanding that women are going to have to shift out of that in order to, take on more of that putting themselves on the line to find what they want and to be okay with someone, with a man possibly not being into them.
It could also be a lot less challenging than that. It occurs to me, like, just be approachable. If you're interested in a man, make eye contact.
Yeah.
Be approachable. Like, do something that is inviting, like, open yourself, like, literally you're sitting, right? You're sitting and you're talking and you see a guy and you make eye contact and maybe just
Yeah.
like smile and open yourself up to him a little bit that suggests, I'm approachable. You can come talk to me. Just give him some sign that it is okay to talk with you,
Yeah.
right? Because I can't tell you how often, I go out and I watch people, and I particularly watch women who, they seem to be out and wanting to meet people, but they certainly don't take a posture that is open to being approached.
Oh, and posture is everything.
They take a posture that is like closed off, or like, I'm just out with my girlfriends. I don't want to hear from you. Well, if that's the posture you're taking, don't freaking tell me you're looking for Mr. Right, because you're not. Right?
So
What you're
true.
doing at most, where men are concerned, is playing power games. You're going out so that you can practice feeling attractive and pushing them away. That's chicken shit. I'm not going to play that. The, the
Right.
man you the man you want is not going to play that game with you. He's
Yeah.
not going to let you cast the bait, reel him in, throw him back. Like, that's not going to happen.
Okay, so she should be more open in her posture.
Yeah.
I've studied this quite a bit. Like posture is everything. Your physiology overrides your psychology every time. So if you're into someone, you want your feet pointed at them.
Yeah. Point your feet, open your heart.
Point your feet their way, turn your body towards them, making eye contact, smile. What else can they do?
Well, there's some things that happen you could do intentionally that probably happen unintentionally. Like, if I saw you the way you look right now, if you made eye contact and you just touched your hair, I would be like, I think I can go talk to her. You
So
could just
hair
did a little
touching.
little hair flip, or just anything that gives an, because if you brush your hair out of your face, there's an opening there. But if you like, if I look at you and you kind of, okay, I'm not going to come talk to you,
Yeah.
right?
No, hands crossing the heart.
Yeah,
And then
stuff like
and then
that.
if their legs are crossed too.
Yeah. If he comes by, if he walks by you, smile. Or, you get up and go say hello. I mean, if you get the sense that he's kind of interested and he's just not coming over, say, hey, I saw you looking, like I was looking at you too. And I don't know. I don't know what the right thing to say there is. Maybe it's just as simple as say, hey, I noticed you over here. My name's Tammy. How are you? Um, I came over. I thought it would make it easier for you to buy me a drink. Whatever,
Ha ha ha, that's a good
right?
one.
Stuff
Hey,
like that.
have you used that one
No, but
already?
I'm going to now.
Yeah.
You
That's
know, I
pretty
mean,
good.
there's
That's
stuff like
pretty.
that can be done. And if it's coming from authenticity and desire, but don't go out fishing for compliments and validation, right? If you're looking for this guy, show up, be approachable, be confident, have a good time, you know. But this idea that the perfect man for me, he will find me, and I don't have to do anything. No, that just that maybe was a there maybe was a time when that was true, but in the time
Well,
of empowered women, I think owning that power also means taking a certain amount of responsibility with it.
well, what do you think about like everyone is meeting someone online versus in person? I don't like,
Are they?
I mean,
I don't
they're
know.
having a lot of experiences. I don't know that
Yeah.
they're like great ones, but these people are having some experiences. I talked to this group of ladies about their online experiences, and it was pretty humorous what they've gone through. What do you think about this whole finding
I
love online thing?
I don't know what to think about it really. I have no experience with this. I've heard other people talk about it and varying degrees of success. More recently, I have been hearing less and less good things about it.
Yeah.
That it's just not real, and that inevitably. Well, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what else to say about it. I'm not hearing a lot of accolades. I'm hearing a lot of people saying I'm just shutting all that crap down and not doing it, and just not doing that anymore. Not looking online for things. So
No, that would be wonderful.
yeah, I don't know what the answer to that is. I think that I think again, you gotta find a way to be out there somehow. So maybe it's as simple as like bringing back things that we used to do. Like, what are you into? What do you like to do? And what do you like to do that could put you in a co-ed space, right? So
Yeah, it's fascinating to me that we have how many billions of people on the planet? Is it four?
it's eight.
It's eight. Okay.
8 billion
There's
people. You
8
need to find
billion
it. Yeah,
people. Yeah. And so
yeah,
like whenever I watch like 90 Day Fiance and I'm like blown away at how many people are looking at another country and I'm sitting there thinking there is no one like have you what are you doing? There's
hmm
so many people in your city, in your state, in your
yeah,
country and you're going to like what is the mindset here? And I'm just digging into their beliefs because I'm like the belief lady. They must believe that love is really hard if they're going to another country to find it. And of course, it's going to be
yeah,
very difficult there because then you have a totally different culture. You have an opposite set of beliefs usually, and it's usually way more difficult when you're trying to connect with someone who's, living in a different
yeah.
country. But what do you say? What do you say about that?
I say, if you live in a city, put down your phone and make eye contact when you're walking on the street.
Gosh, yes.
Just simple little things. You are around people all the time, right? Join online communities of people who have interests like you have and be on calls. You don't know what you want to do is what they say in poker is that poker is a whole lot of luck. I mean, lots of people like to say it's not, but it is. But the best thing you can do is put yourself in a position to get lucky. Well, you're not going to do that sitting at home, right?
You don't think?
Every opportunity. I mean, where is there opportunity? Where are you, Molly? Yeah, yeah, okay. Maybe I'm going to go ahead and put on a nicer shirt when I go to the grocery store. Maybe I'm going to make a funny comment in line checking out groceries because I don't know. And it's just if it's coming from a place of genuine interest and just joy and fun, you don't know what kind of connection that's going to be. I had a story yesterday about a guy came over to fix her garage door from some company. She had to hire him to come fix the garage door. She gave him a glass of water because it was going shitty and he needed and they got to know each other and like 7 years later they're married and had been dating forever. Like who knows where it's going to come from? Just be nice to people, connect with them.
Yeah.
And it's so easy to say that. I know that's not. I know it's easier to say than do, but connect.
Well, do you think that in your Tantra world, do you think that it attracts more single people or do you think it attracts more people in relationships already?
I'm in the tantra world that I've been in. It's both. It's pretty equal, actually.
Really?
Yeah, lots of
Okay.
couples are in there, and then they're using tantra practices to enrich and enhance their own relationships. And then there are single people that are there to stay single and play. And then there are people that are like ready to find their person. And then there are people in every area in between.
Wow, the whole gamut.
Yeah.
So are most people going, what are most people seeking out Tantra to find? Like what are they seeking?
Well, I think it's connection
Yeah.
first and foremost. I think it is intimacy. I think that is first and foremost what we're talking about here. That's what we all want. We just want intimate connection. And intimacy is about vulnerability, and vulnerability is about truth. So we want to be around people we can be real with, that are real with us, so we can share our truth with, and be loved for it and in spite of it
I
sometimes.
love that. Like connection, intimacy, vulnerability, truth.
Yeah.
That's kind of
I mean, I think
awesome.
I think that's a lot of the things we do. A lot of things, like a lot of addictions and things, are filling that void that is a lack of connection, lack
Yeah.
of tribe, lack of intimacy, right? We sit here connected to 8 billion people, but we're alone. How many times have you been alone in a crowded room, right? It's because you don't feel heart connected and soul connected to your people. So find that. How do you find that? I have been able to find it in the Tantra community in a very real way.
Mm.
Um, and it's changed over the time, even in the very relatively short time that I've been in the Tantra community, it has changed.
What's changed about it?
What's changed about it is, I went in as the person who knew nothing about Tantra and was nervous and scared and didn't know what to expect. And I leaned into all of the fear, and I leaned into all of the discomfort, and I leaned into all of the pain, and just gone with it and trusted the people around me that were on that journey together. And I've moved into this space now where I am amongst really amazing, just conscious people doing the work. Again, I've now found a community of people who love me because of me and in spite of me.
Mm.
And I had to get through a lot of layers of myself and human relating to to be part of that community and be open to that. Because of first, the way to get frozen out of it is to stop being truthful, either by not saying anything at all or by just being out of integrity, right? But if you show up and everybody is being vulnerable but you, they're going to start questioning whether you can be trusted.
Yeah, that's so
There,
true.
you
It's
have to
so
show up.
true. Especially, I mean, you think about when someone starts to open up and be vulnerable with you, if you don't reciprocate, if that other person doesn't reciprocate with you, you immediately are like,
There's a power balance problem there.
what are you hiding?
Yeah.
Right?
What are you
That's
protecting?
so
What are you
true. And I
hiding?
see that with a lot of my ladies. Like, I don't know if they believe they're being vulnerable or they actually are because I'm not in their relationships, but they don't feel like their husbands are being vulnerable with them. They don't really. And so one thing I try to do is help their husbands to open up. And obviously, if the husband doesn't feel safe, he's not going to open up. So
Right.
that's her sort of goal is to be safe. But then I think that you men have been, like we talked about in our previous conversation, I think you've really been manipulated out of feeling your emotions.
Oh yeah. And that's not women's fault. That's again, that's the patriarchy being
Yeah.
against feminine nature, right? So the way for men, in my view, to be good, positive, masculine men is to actually be better in touch with their feminine side.
Yes.
It's not to lean more into chest thumping and alpha male, all this crap that we're sold. And it doesn't mean they have to act like women. It means that you need to, like, a man needs to know what it feels like to be in surrender and to be soft himself. And, you know, uh, like, I have a daughter. Yeah, that taught me something about what it means to be soft,
Hmm.
and to be in surrender. And so I do think you're right. Men have been shortchanged. What I read, I think we talked about this last time too, is men are brought up to believe that it's unmasculine to have needs.
Yeah.
Unmasculine to have feelings. Boys don't cry. So we stuff all of that in our whole lives, but it's still there. You can't suppress it, and so it comes out as rage.
Hmm.
Well, when you expect that as a woman, that your man is going to not, but when he's not being vulnerable with you, intuitively and energetically, he's storing up shit that's going to come out in a way that's not healthy.
Hmm.
And you don't know what the next thing that you say is going to do to set that off, and you feel unsafe,
Yeah.
right? So the interplay here is that I think women often feel physically unsafe, right? Like they don't feel safe in their bodies with men. I've never had to walk out of a grocery store alone at night and be afraid, but you have, right?
I don't
Um,
know about me. I'm not like other
maybe not, but
ladies,
but
but I know what you mean.
you get the point that I'm making. But I think
Yes.
men, we don't feel safe sharing our hearts, right? Because women, like when a woman wants to hurt me, when she really wants to wound me, men are assholes, but women can be absolutely brutal in the way that they will push it right on the pain point of a man's vulnerability, right on it. I mean,
Mm.
I'm not saying men don't do it, but it's just a different thing. Um, so, this is what it means. Like, what does it mean in a relationship to create space to feel safe with each other? Right? Which kind of goes back to the beginning of what we were talking about, and having, outside the bedroom. If you're not feeling safe outside of it, you're not going to feel safe inside of it.
Right.
So,
Well, let's be honest. If you ain't safe outside of the bedroom, you ain't getting in the bedroom.
that's right. That's
And then
exactly
to
right.
the level, because I think openness and connection, there's so many layers to it. It's like you can get through one door of the heart, right? Say, okay, that's the outer door. Then there's another door. Then there's another door. Then there's another door to get to the very center. So, that's why trust can be built over time. It should be built over time. We
Mhm.
shouldn't go around trusting everyone with those deep, dark, intimate parts of ourselves. We should allow for this time of making sure that person is safe. Like, okay, you're safe. You can come through the first door. Then now you're safe. You can come through the second. Like, that is the natural way we should be developing our relationships, all of them, not just romantic ones, but in friendships too. So I love how much you talk about safety because it really opens me up to think about, well, when we don't feel safe, what would the relationship look like on both the man side and the female side?
Well, let me touch on something you said there about, we should be vetting, right? We should be carefully looking at who we can and
Yeah,
can't trust, right? But we also just said that the person who's not vulnerable is the person that we don't trust.
right.
So my view is the default position should be trust.
Well, what I mean is
Yeah.
you meet someone the first night, you tell them all your secrets. Yeah, I
Oh,
killed.
no, no, no. Yeah.
That's
No,
what
not like
that's
that.
what I mean as far as like because there's one side of it that's like childlike trust, like kids never meet until we train them out of it. They never meet
Right.
strangers, right? Everyone's their friend. My little 7-year-old goes out, she makes a friend everywhere she goes. She's got a new friend. And yet I see adults who are like, oh, I'm an adult. I can't make friends. So there's a difference there. But then I'm talking about that vulnerability of like, I see some women just throw themselves into vulnerable positions with each new guy
Oh,
that comes
yeah.
in. I'm saying there's levels to like earning trust, right?
Yes. Yeah, you're right. And I think guys do that too, right? You're online dating where like, okay, you're on your first date and this guy's unloading everything about his previous relationship
Right.
or his mommy issues or whatever. No, 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 that's not.
That's not
Yeah.
first
So
date.
yeah,
You
slow
gotta,
that down. It's
Mhm.
about attunement, right? I use that word a
Yes.
lot, attunement. And part of my work, and particularly in the body work, is I'm good at attuning to a woman's energy in the space,
Yeah.
whether it's in conversation or physically. I'm tuned in, and it's not really me. I often I don't remember the details. I'm just kind of channeling the source, I guess, if you like it that way. But what does it feel like to be attuned to? And when you know what it feels like, then you can begin to ask for it.
Yeah.
They say, hey,
I don't think you even have to ask verbally, right? When you're
no,
attuned,
no,
it's almost like you're thinking the very same thought at the exact same time, right? That's attunement to me if we want to put it in thought, but it's like you're on the same frequency where you're just in flow. You're
Yeah.
just,
Your inflow. That's what you want. Like, that's the relationship you want, right? Where it becomes beyond words, right? You have nonverbal consent. You know what's working. You know what's not. You get to know, like, you're by the breathing, by the movement, by the sounds, by you just get to know those things and you pay attention to them. And you also kind of know when to push the edges a little bit. Say maybe we're in for something a little different tonight and take some leadership, right? And try some new things. So yeah, it's that kind of attunement. I mean, again, it's we want to be seen, heard, held, understood. And when you are vulnerable, that is giving energy, right? When you're not, that's a power play, right? And vulnerability doesn't have to be, the life story of your pain necessarily. I mean, it can just be something that makes you feel like, yeah, that's a little that stings a little bit,
Mhm.
you know. I'm struggling to come up with a good example, but there are things that I share every day where I'll say, "Can I share something a little vulnerable? This is kind of coming up for me. I'm having this feeling of, I just shared something with you, and this happens all the time on tap. Like I'll share something with someone. Like I would share a poem like this. If I read that poem to you, and you were like, "Oh, that's cool. Moving on," I would have been like, "Hey, yeah, I'm going to share a little something here. Like that stings a little bit. To me, this was a big deal to read this and share it in my voice. And if you just didn't give a shit about it, I wouldn't feel good about that.
Mhm.
And if I shared that, that would be vulnerable. That's not life or death vulnerability, but it's still vulnerability. Like, hey, you kind of stung me here. Little
Mhm.
things like that happen all the time.
Yeah.
And if the man in your life never picks up his fucking socks, that stings you a little bit because now you mother him and it doesn't feel good, but you're not telling him.
Yeah.
Certainly is eroding trust, and it certainly is eroding in any kind of attraction if you have to start treating him like a little boy. So that's a crude example, but you see my point.
It's not very crude because what I've noticed in my ladies is that's exactly what it is. It's like when they do share the things that bother them, it falls on deaf ears, and so it goes and
Hmm.
goes and goes after years and years, and it does become quite a problem, but not because
Yeah,
it was just for the reason you said, like I shared this with you and you're ignoring it, like you don't care, you know?
right. So
So,
what is in those episodes for your clients that are going through that? Sit and ask themselves, what is the unmet need? When they're feeling a complaint towards their person, the complaint, the whatever that is, what is the unmet need? Like, you don't pick up your shit. Well, that's not the unmet need. Like, how do you feel about the fact that he doesn't pick up your shit? I feel like I have to be a mother to him. Okay, is that the unmet? No, in the end, the unmet need is that in that situation is you don't show up as a man for me. Like you don't hold a space of trust and support in my life because I have to pick up after you like a child, right?
yeah.
I can't trust you. And that isn't the lack of trust. You not being, not behaving in a way that engenders trust in me leaves an unfulfilled space in my heart and it sucks and I don't like it, right? So what is
Hmm.
the unmet need? How does it make you feel internally? Is it sadness? And you're talking about the seven basic emotions here, right? Anger and joy and sad and
Yeah,
love
I
and
love that because in my line of work, when I'm working with my ladies, what we're finding is all their commands. And I don't know if I told you this on our last conversation, but a command is basically your limiting belief that you actually it came out of a traumatic event from your early childhood, but yet it's so deeply imprinted on your subconscious mind that you've dragged it out. It's come with you throughout your whole entire life. And the commands usually come up in all those events. Like,
right.
why are you upset about him leaving his socks? Oh, well, it makes me feel unimportant, right?
Yeah.
And that might be the life command. So what I've noticed is these are the things that we make true for ourselves. This thing that may not mean much to them means something completely different based on that traumatic event from the childhood.
Yeah, that's right. And I mean, that gets into unpacking how you react to things and how you respond to things, and that matters, right?
Yeah.
And it comes down to, God, what is it they say? Complaints are unmet, are unspoken needs, and unspoken expectations are premeditated resentments,
Yes.
right? But we don't communicate our needs, we don't communicate our expectations because either we don't know how, we don't know what they are, we
Or
know
we
what they are,
communicate
we don't know
or we
how.
communicate them in a way, I know I'm guilty of this, or we communicate them by way of nagging.
Right? That could be a way,
And
right?
it could come across as nagging because we have to keep asking.
Hmm. Or maybe we don't really believe we deserve to have them met.
Yes.
Right? Maybe we're deluding ourselves about whether this person can actually step up and do it. Um, or maybe, our wounds trigger and we're because we fear abandonment. We say, well, if I tell them what I want, they'll judge me and leave, and I don't want them
Hmm.
to leave, right? That gets into patterns of abuse, right? Why do people stay with their abusers? Uh,
Hmm.
I'm not an expert in that, so by any means, but that strikes me as something being relevant there. So there's a lot there about this is where Tantra starts coming in to put you back in touch with what your body is telling you and put your thoughts and your heart in alignment and in integrity about your needs and wants, teaching you to set boundaries and advocate for yourself, right? To take care of yourself so that you are a resource, so that you show up for other people, that you call them forth, and then they get better. And that's the chain of events, right? That's the ripple effect that you want.
How does Tantra teach you that?
So Tantra, I mean, it's really about releasing Neo Tantra. So there's classical Tantra, from India and Tibet, and it's a word that's broken down to mean to liberate or to expand, or to
Hmm.
weave. I like that interpretation, weaving, right? So it's a way of releasing conditioning and programming and putting yourself back together as a whole person. And it's about integrating your shadows, right? It's not about getting rid of necessarily things that you are taught to judge as bad behavior. It's just saying this is part of me, and what do I do about it? So
Ooh, I love that
yeah,
because, coming from a religious background, I probably told you last time, there was so much judgment about sex.
yeah,
And I would imagine that a lot of people are drawn to Tantra because of that, because they're like, oh my gosh, I have so much judgment about this, and yet I have all these desires.
right.
And that was just my baseline thinking about it based on my own shit, so to speak. But what do you think about that?
Well, I mean, I think that is exactly why people get drawn to it. And I think it's easy to get drawn to it because of the sexual aspects of it. Again, because we have in the West in particular, so much shame and guilt around issues of sex,
Hmm.
right? Like it's not okay to want it. It's not okay to ask for it. It's not okay to enjoy it, right? And they're called naughty bits, and like we have to cover everything. And it's just, and then that sex is inherently, or that nudity is inherently sexual, and yeah, it's entirely couched in shame and guilt, and in rather than, I think it's a misinterpretation, right, to say that the way to rise above our animal instincts is to pretend they don't exist. No, the way to rise above them is to integrate them and respect them as part of who we are.
Ooh, how do we do that?
That's what Tantra brings to the table, is it starts saying, hey, what are considered by the mainstream to be not okay, what if everything is okay? What if everything is okay? Right? What if you like to get spanked? That's okay. Who
Hmm.
cares? Right? And what if it's okay for you to accept that about yourself? That's an example. What if you pick whatever it is. Like what if you like whatever your fetish is, whatever your interest is? It's okay. What if you do get some ego payoff when someone tells you you look good in that dress? That's okay. It's not wrong when you look at yourself in the mirror and say, I friggin' look good. It's okay to say that. What if I say, learn to say to myself, you know what? I am this man who is safe and grounded, and I attract women into my orbit who want to be around me for that reason because it's real and I have these gifts. Is there something arrogant about me accepting that? Is it something, am I saying that I'm better or superior to other men? I'm not saying that. I'm different. I'm unique. I accept that uniqueness, but I could very easily say, we talked about this last time, I could use that for evil. But if you accept your gifts, if you accept, your the best things about you and the worst things about you as a whole person, and nobody can take that from you, like you kind of become unshakable.
Yeah, it's kind of freeing, right? It's like
Yeah, that's the
I just own
liberation.
all of
You
it. Like,
understand? I
here's the
own it.
shit, here's the good
Yeah.
stuff, and it's all me and it's all good.
Nobody can shame me in the world for anything real because everything about me is out there. I'm not hiding
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
It can make shit up. I can't do much about that. So, you know, the practice of Tantra, or really, it's not a practice per se. It's more like a worldview that says, I am this whole thing, and I, as a whole, an individual entity, am also part of a collective of entities and life all over the planet. I am not in the world, I am of it, right? I am connected to nature, and all of my instincts and all of my interests and all of my feelings and all of it, that's all real. And I'm not here to dominate it. I'm here to be disciplined about it. I'm here to be conscious of it. And I'm not going to say that my emotions, I can never have emotions like men are taught. I'm just not going to let them be in the driver's seat unless I choose to put them there. Right? I'm not going to be emotionally reactive because it bubbles up and takes me out of my head. Right? So the work of Tantra, your work too, the somatic work, all about that nervous system control.
Mhm.
And Tantra kind of takes it a step further by really bringing in issues of intimacy, vulnerability, and truth with yourself, with others. So you end up doing
Wow.
rituals and engaging in things that we talked about last time in white tantra, red, right, white, pink, red spaces. Could you imagine in your own life getting to a point where you could just be naked in a group of, standing in a room with a bunch of other people, especially people? Could you do?
No, I
I was
couldn't.
at an event the other day where it started raining and we all took our clothes off and went outside and danced naked in the rain together, and it was
I
glorious.
mean, I would love to say I'm on that level, Dennis. I cannot
It's
imagine
it's
myself
really
doing
difficult, and
that.
I'm not. It was still edgy for me to do it.
Was it?
It still took a minute for me. It's like, do I stopped and I just checked in. Do I really want to do this? And
You
there was a
did
little
check
part of me
in.
that was like, I don't know if I really want to do this. And I'm like, but why? And it was not out of any sense of boundaries. It was purely out of fear.
Yeah.
Well, fear is going to have to just kiss my ass, and then I bared my ass to my fear and went out and did it. And we had a great time. It was very freeing, and then
I
we
mean,
all
it sounds like, that childlike wonder. I love
yeah,
that. I
it was
mean,
all eight of us, and then we all
to
sat in
get
the
to
hot
that,
tub naked in the rain and told stories. And it was
yeah.
just the best. No pretense,
God.
no nonsense. And when you can do that, what secrets are there to keep? What is there to be ashamed of?
I
Right?
mean,
And if you're out with people like that and you see people or you find people who are shaming you in any way, that tells you that those are not your people,
yeah.
right? Those are not the people. And they would be summarily voted off the island. They would not be allowed to be part of the community if they were bringing that, or if they were violating boundaries or harming consent in some way. So what if you could find that group of people that you could absolutely do that with and be comfortable with that?
Yeah. Yeah. That would
Part of
be,
that is about you and your internal work, and part of that is about finding your people.
yeah. I mean, I judge my meat suit a lot. I think I told you
Yeah.
this last time. I think it's so hard as human beings, we identify with this body, even though my head knows I'm not this body, that I'm just renting it, that it's on loan, and that it's, that I'm going to be exiting it at a point in time and it's, going to be disintegrating in the ground. But like the other part of me is like, no,
And,
this is your meat suit.
and let me give you something. I'm gonna be a little bit edgy
Yeah,
with you here and say, how dare you not honor your meat suit for
I
everything it's done for
know.
you? How dare you shame your body for what it has done for you in your life, what it continues
Yes.
to do for you in your life?
Yeah,
Sickness, every illness you had, your body healed from it. You have
I
kids, right?
know. Yeah.
You
It
kidding
bring
me?
yeah, it bring forth like the coolest humans ever.
How dare you tell your body that it is not good enough?
I know.
And so how, in real the real study of Tantra and moving into these spaces, it doesn't have to, but it can put you in a position to really confront those insecurities and see the reality. And because Tantra is a communal worldview, you're not alone.
Yeah.
You're not alone in that. Everybody has these insecurities, these pains.
Yeah.
And I think the hardest wake up for me was to realize that all the things that I had judged my body for, most people never even fucking noticed. Like, wow, how egotistical was I thinking that everybody was looking at, like, they're not judging my body, they're not even paying attention to it.
Right. They don't
And
care.
then
Only
and
you.
then to start,
That's what I tell myself all
yeah,
the time. I'm like, you're the only one who notices or cares about any of this.
right. And the people that do notice and that do care, that actually say something are never derogatory. It's always positive.
Really?
Yeah. I've never had I've never had anybody say to me any of the shit that I've said in my own head.
Oh, right.
Not
Well,
one
I
time.
mean, we're like that. And for me, I love to like push myself out of my comfort zone little by little. Like the first time I spoke with a microphone in my hand, it was so hard. I shook. And then I got better and better and better at it. But I confront my fears, kind of like what you're talking about. When it came to like singing, I started to make myself sing karaoke just because it pushed me out of my comfort zone. So I'm all about that. This would be the next
Yeah.
huge
Next
jump,
level.
though. I'm not gonna lie. That would be like because I have done like skinny dipping with friends, but I was drunk. Okay.
Well, yeah, that's different too.
So there are just this would be a huge jump for me. And at this point, I'm like, I don't know that I could do that in my 40s. Like maybe no, no age have I ever been where I'm like, oh, I could totally do that.
Well, and there's medicine in thinking about why that is.
Yeah, I am gonna
And,
think
and
about
part of
that,
the part of
Dennis.
the point of the container that I create is just very much one-on-one, and it gives this space of saying, can you allow yourself to be fully seen? Right? And maybe if you wanted to do this, and push these edges, maybe you start with other women. Maybe you start in a group setting with women or one woman one-on-one. But
Mm-hmm.
there's a reason that it is, I think, important to have good men doing this work because at some point, that's a big step. Could you be in my temple, in my space, and be fully nude and feel safe in that nudity? And allow yourself to surrender into the experience that you're having, right? Really trust and surrender and let yourself feel everything you need to feel without your insecurities getting in the way, without feeling like there was pressure for you to give something back. Could you do that? Because when you can take that step, there's a lot of healing in that.
Yeah, I could imagine.
And every layer of it. So my approach is a very layered approach. I have women that come to me where all we do is we sit and talk. Maybe she'll just like we'll lay down and she will just cradle her head and I just hold her because she just doesn't even remember what it's like to feel held by a man
Mm.
without without having trauma or without feeling like there's something expected of her, right? So it could be that, and then it can go all the way to tantric massage with yoni being the Sanskrit word for vagina, and it's the whole deal. And it's not a particularly erotic experience. It is just the experience of letting your body be touched and learning to surrender the different parts of your body. And surrender is about turning into yourself. Surrendering to yourself is not about surrendering to me, right? It's you being in a space where I can just hold the container. And so whatever comes up, when you start having whatever emotions move through you, they're yours and it's your experience, but you're not alone. You're not alone in it. Um,
Interesting.
so, that's a very, like, I have pages and pages. Like, we could talk and talk and talk about this forever. It's also one of those things that at some point, talk isn't going to show you what you want to know. You're going to have to do something or take a leap and have an experience. Uh,
Yeah.
but if you can do that, when you can do that, and then you can move into saying, I can be naked in a group of people and not be self-conscious and or too self-conscious and not have it be super sexual. Like you
And
can,
not cover myself up like this.
yeah, when you can start doing that, you can definitely send back the undercooked steak at the restaurant, right? You can start
Oh,
asking for,
I've never had a problem
yeah.
doing that.
But many people do. Like you start getting over certain things and it
Yeah.
starts empowering. And it's actually surprising to me that I don't know why it is, but it's surprising to me that you seem because you come across as so confident
I
and you're a
know.
beautiful woman. It it seems to me like you'd be like, yeah, fucking hey, let's do it.
I mean, a group of people like I don't know.
There's part of me that senses there's like that you would be you in the right circumstances, you'd be the person to lead that charge.
It would
Marina would
seem
go
that
out.
way. It's so
Yeah,
funny. I think my personality is so deceptive because, people always think that I'm so confident, but I'm like, everyone is confident in something.
sure.
I'm confident in certain things about myself, very confident in certain things, and I'm not super confident in everything about
Oh yeah.
myself, because I'm a human and I've had a lot of trauma that I've worked through. So it's just imagining it and being like, is that me? The me
Yeah.
I've been,
And
right?
maybe it's not. I mean, in the end, it's about you owning yourself is about standing in your truth, your boundaries, and maybe that's not for you. Maybe, but if there's
Right.
part of you that when I talk about it, part of you is inside of you is going, God, I really wish that I had the guts to go do this. Okay,
Yeah.
that's an edge. That is an edge, and that is something to explore. But if,
Yeah.
but if what's inside you is like, you know what? I don't give a shit about this at all. There's nothing about this that appeals to me. Okay, that's a boundary. It's a no. Thanks anyway. But if there is part of you that's like, what would it feel like to be? Because it's not
Well,
like,
I'm the type of person like I want to heal. There's no, I'm all about the healing journey. Like I want to get to the core, like I want to get to the place where I don't fully identify with my body at all, that I see myself as the fullest expression of
right.
what I am. But at the same time, I'm here in this world and I have to function in this world. So I'm just always like, I guess exploring the edges.
That's to me, like that is where life happens.
Yeah.
That is where living happens. I'm not an adrenaline junkie, but I get why people are.
Yeah.
That is their version. For me, I'm pushing emotional edges. I am pushing certain edges of my physical body and just, but I'm pushing on my insecurities and examining my life. But I don't think it's probably not that dissimilar from people who jump out of airplanes and bungee jump and do the adrenaline junkie. These are the things that make me feel alive. Pushing
Yeah.
the edges. I love the growth, and I've developed gratitude for the inevitable contractions that lead to those expansions.
Yeah.
They're not fun, but I can have gratitude for it. Um,
So how does the Tantra lifestyle, like, how has it helped you in your healing journey? Like, does it help you with specific traumas? Like, does it go deep into traumas or is it sort
yes.
of
So
general?
there's a school of thought that says that that Tantra has always been about trauma healing,
Mm,
and that's what it really is about. So some things that have helped me specifically with, and I still struggle with this. So one of the things I think lots of people have a hard time with is this concept of really being in receivership. One of the things I don't remember if we talked about this and how much of my story was shared, but one of the things that was an epiphany for me is this realization that in receiving affection, any kind of affection, right? Even hugs, kisses, sex for that matter, any kind of receiving, that I always feel like I have to earn it. Like I have to do something to be worthy of it. And it's tiring because we shouldn't feel that way. We should be able at times to just be loved and receive affection because we are who we are and we move through the world the way that we do. You do so many things in the world and you deserve to just feel loved and cared for. Um, but it's really hard for me to do that. and this feeling of having to earn it. And I was really getting tired of that. Like I was starting to be like, I don't even want to be around people because I just don't want that. I don't even want to get a gift because I just feel like puts a responsibility on me to earn something. So
Mm.
I'm gonna open myself up so that I can receive affection and love without having to earn it. Then when I started having that experience, I didn't trust it, right? So I had myself in this double bind that I don't want to feel like I have to earn affection, but if I receive affection I haven't earned, I don't trust it. I feel like somebody is doing something to get
Oh.
something from me. So what does that put me? Like, what a shitty place to be. So I've had to put myself in spaces intentionally where I receive from a tantrika the way that I give to women as a daka. And in this full vulnerable space where I'm naked on the mat, naked on the table, and I'm being touched and cared for in this way. And I'm trying to be that. I mean, even just in a wellness massage, you ever just have a wellness massage, like a deep tissue massage, and you feel the muscles you resist at first. And how long does it take to actually let yourself receive that touch and feel good about it? It's like that, but it's a whole body experience. It really is it's really testing. If I take the work you do about managing the nervous system, and then I take that into a tantric space, now I'm testing all of that.
Mm.
Now I'm really challenging myself to say, can I regulate my nervous system in places where every trigger is firing, every fear, every insecurity? So that is what Tantra has helped me with. And then there's a lot of just some of the practices of meditation and of the intimacy things. Like one of the first things that I ever did in Tantra was eye gazing, just eye gazing, and find somebody, you know, maybe I'll come visit and you and I will just sit down and we will just look into each other's eyes for 5 minutes. See how hard that is.
Oh, I've done that.
Yeah,
It is
it's
hard.
hard. It's really hard. And then you start taking that into other kinds of rituals. There's a common ritual in Tantra spaces called the 3 minute game. So let's say you and I are paired up in this, and here's how it works. The facilitator says, okay, Tammy, you're going to say to Dennis, what what do you want me to do to you for 3 minutes? And then I say, here's what I want you to do. And we negotiate, and it could be super edgy or it could be nothing special. And
Mhm.
then we reverse it. And I say, you say, what do you want? What do you want to do to me for 3 minutes? What do you want me to do to you for 3 minutes? And then I do it, right? That's another level of vulnerability. And you ask yourself,
Is
what do you,
that white? Is that white or pink?
well, it can be pink, right? It could go either way. So I've done this exercise where like the ask
Do
is
men
down.
do this? Do men do this
I've
together?
seen men paired up. And so sometimes it's something like
Do you do it with men?
I have just been paired up that way.
Yeah.
So I've had so the let's say the most I don't know, what do you want to say? Vanilla, I guess, experience is embrace. They just wanted a hug from me for 3 minutes. I just wanted a hug from them for 3 minutes, whatever. So it's been that where it's just a hug. It's been back rub. I want to give you a back rub, or I want to receive one from you. I want a shoulder rub, whatever. Um, One girl asked me for a breast massage for 3 minutes. I'd never met her before. Like we sat down in this, and I was just the way I was seeing. She looked at my hand. She picked up my hands, and she said, "Yeah, I want a breast massage for 3 minutes." And I thought about it. Actually, that feels okay to me. So she turned around and I did the breast massage for 3 minutes. It could be anything.
Okay, but what if a man asked you for a penal
That would
massage?
be a no. I wouldn't do
Okay.
that. Um,
Yeah. So yeah,
not because I'm principally against it
right.
necessarily. I'm just
Yeah,
not.
it's not
I'm not,
not your thing. That's
not
what I
my thing.
mean as far as like it is a give to both. Like
It
because
is.
when we give pleasure to someone else, we get something out of that. That's what I mean when I said nothing is intrinsically, what was the word that you used? You used a big
Sexual.
word. Well, no, that nothing is just a one-way give. It's always
Reciprocal.
yeah, it's always reciprocal. You used a big word that I really liked that I'd never heard before, but
Oh,
you
I'm sorry. I do
no,
that. I
no,
don't remember
that's
what it
totally
was.
okay.
I'll have to go
But
back to the recording.
but but it's but it's like it's like that. Like it is still a give for you to massage her breasts because
Yeah.
I
Like
mean
it's
it's
nothing.
enjoyable. I would
It's not
enjoy.
altruism.
Yeah. So but then there's parts of it where it, like in Tantra, it honors like, okay, yeah, that's not something that I would enjoy.
Yeah. But
Right.
this is the thing is it's an opportunity to practice your yeses and nos and
Oh.
and
So you
and
can say no.
yes, absolutely
Okay.
you can say no.
Okay.
And you can sit with the discomfort of feeling rejected. So what if she had asked me for that and I would have said no? What if you asked me for that and I said no?
Yeah.
How would that make you feel? And what would that bring up for you? Like, why wouldn't he like, doesn't every guy want to touch breasts? Why wouldn't he want to touch my breasts? Like, I don't know how that would go for you.
Well, I
But
would just think, oh, he's probably in a relationship, but I totally
or something.
understand that. Yeah.
Or especially if then like we rotate and I actually do that for another woman. Like
Oh, yeah.
what the hell? So
And I think that's his girlfriend.
it's all these opportunities to
Yeah.
confront your yeses, your nos, to feel in, and where are you compelled to say yes, but you don't really want to.
Hmm.
Like, what if I asked you, you know what? I want you to stroke my cock for 3 minutes.
That'd
And
be,
and what if you say yes, but you don't really want to do it?
yeah.
And I have not experienced this, but I've seen things that start to happen and stop.
Because
And
they're
that's
like,
exactly what should happen,
yeah.
right? Honor your boundaries, even in the workspaces that
Dang, what happens in these, what do you call them? Temples?
temples, yeah. And that most the 3 minute game, it can be any number of things. And I've never actually seen anybody like, I've never
Oh,
seen it get that sexual
okay.
in the spaces I've been in, but I can imagine that it would,
Okay.
right? I mean, it,
That's very red.
didn't you ever play 7 Minutes in Heaven when you were,
Yeah, but the
the
lights were off.
lights
No.
were off? Yeah.
G-
So,
uh,
and this is, but it's a game you could play with your lover, just the two of you. It could be something that two people do together as a couple,
yeah.
you know? How's that for like a third date icebreaker, you know?
Third
Um,
day, I'd say,
and it could be clothed, it could be unclothed, there could be, there's so many possibilities, right? But what if you had the courage to ask for what you really want?
yeah. I think that's more than anything, what it creates is for you to get so in tuned
Hmm.
with your own intuition that you can recognize when you're doing things out of integrity and in integrity with yourself.
There's something that in working with women, I'd never heard this term before. This is what I call it. I'm sure there's a term for it. I call it consent remorse. And I see this much, much more with women than men, where they consent in the moment and then they have an experience and then they go like, why the fuck did I say yes to that?
Mm.
Right? So one of the
Consent remorse. I like that.
Yeah, it's in the moment it feels fine, but I'm sure this resonates with your audience.
Or
Um,
you say yes out of guilt.
yeah, you say yes out of guilt. You say yes because you think you should, because you got programmed into some kind of bullshit thinking about blue balls. I don't want to be a tease, stuff like that.
Mhm.
That's all crap,
Yep. Yep.
right? You have consent and you can withdraw it at any time, anytime. And that is part of what we're playing with in these not just tantra spaces, but really any sex positive space. But tantra to me, in the way I practice it, is so much about healing, and the way I do the work that those things don't come up as much. Um, where but it is always about the moment between honoring your no's and yeses. What's really going on for me here? If I'm saying yes, what is compelling me to say yes? If I'm saying no, what is compelling me to say no?
That is such a good insight.
Mhm.
What is compelling me to this answer? Like
Right.
what's behind it?
Is it wounding? Is it programming? Or is it something more divine? Like, is it genuine desire? I
Yeah.
actually happen to think that lust is divine. I think that's a
Yeah.
real thing. Like, if you really want it and you're going after it because you want it, that's divine. But if you're going after it out of habit, if you're going after it out of, validation seeking, those are not divine reasons to make those choices.
Hmm. Yeah, you're right. Lust has gotten a really bad rep.
Yeah.
It's like resonance,
Yeah. Why
right?
would you want to be with a man who doesn't actually really desire you?
Yeah.
I mean, if he is he using you as his medicine to soothe his mother wound, or does he actually want you? Even if it's just in this moment.
Well, unless he's healed a
Yeah,
lot,
those are different
it
things.
has something to do with his mom.
Right.
He
It,
chose you because of his mom,
right.
no matter what way it goes.
So
That's
do
what
you
I know
even
for sure.
know? Do you know what feels like to have a man desire you, like come at you because he really wants you? Or have your relationships always been more about he wants what he thinks you can do for him?
I think it has to always be what he thinks you could do for him.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, because as healed as we could be on our journey, like you can't get to the center of that onion as far as I know, except Jesus, maybe a few select few others in humanity, but to get to the center of that onion, to operate in our purest state, which is really all aspects of ourself, the soul, spirit, and body, full integration. I don't know that we can sustain that long term. I think part of it is just, the journey through this physical life.
Hmm. Yeah, yes, and I think it's okay to want what you want. I think it's okay to ask for what you want. And I think there's power in the asking, whether you get it or not. And I think it's important to learn how to not be attached to outcome.
Oh, those are all really good statements. Say that again.
Shit, I don't know if I can. You're calling me out here. I think it's
Well,
okay. I think
non,
it's absolutely okay to want what you want. I
mhm.
think it's okay to ask for what you want, even if other people think it's deviant or wrong. And I think there is a lot of medicine and value in the asking, whether you get what you want or not. And I think it's important to be able to live your life without too much attachment to outcome, because you can't control outcome. You
That
cannot
is, if
control the
if
fruit.
that was the only message, that would have just been perfect. It was so perfect to
I
want
was
what
going to
you
say that
want.
when we started, but then I knew I wouldn't get to spend as much time with you.
Yeah, then we would be done
We'd
in
be
like
done.
5 minutes. No, that was so good. And everything comes down to that, to want what you want,
Hmm.
to not have any expectation whether or not you get what you want, and to have no attachment to the outcome. I don't know. I can't
Yeah, it
say it
was
like you did,
yeah,
but it
want
was
what you want, ask for what you want,
ask for what you want.
and not be attached to the outcome.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't ask for what you want, the answer is always no, right? And you reject yourself in a way, and you also deprive another person of the opportunity to give. Don't we all want to
Yeah,
give? I mean, don't we all want to have like a positive impact on other people's lives?
we do.
You know, how do I
And
know what's a positive impact on your life if you don't tell me what it is?
yep,
So it's kind of irresponsible to not ask in a way.
so good.
I mean, so, getting over not you personally, but as human beings, getting over our wounds and pains and insecurities that prevent us from asking, that prevent us from setting and holding boundaries and advocating for ourselves, you know, it is going to keep not only our lives small, but the lives of people around us are going to be smaller than they
So
used to
true. So true. That is absolutely true. I look at I look at my family, right? And my childhood was very traumatic. And I look at my siblings who did not choose the same path I did, and their lives are so small
be.
because no one can treat them tender enough,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
No one can treat them tender enough, so their lives are so small because they're just wounded little birds that like everywhere you touch is a wound,
yeah.
everywhere. So you just live with the wounding, try and keep a solitary life, and it's like I look at that and I say, oh my gosh, I'm so thankful, even though it's difficult to heal from your
Mhm.
trauma. I found it way more difficult to live with the pain that I had festering in my body day in and day out, right? So, yeah, that is so true. And I have noticed that as I've healed, I'm okay when something hurts me. I'm okay not to kick everyone out and blame it on everyone else, but to look inside and be like, this is a wound within me that gets to be healed. I'm not going to judge it. I'm
Mhm.
going to look at it. I'm going to be with it. I'm going to be with that little me attached to that pain. I'm going
Yeah.
to hold her until all of the pain is emoted, and I'm going to feel it for her. And I don't resist it. And so that's kind of remind, a lot of, I just think about how I've healed myself and how much that aligns with the Tantra. Tantra would, you're right, be the next level. That's like
Mhm.
move into it. Like that's like feel it in the body. Shit.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
yeah, so cool. I
And
love
some
that.
people are ready for it, some people are not, and there are varying levels and degrees to get engaged if that's something that you want. And I'm giving you the surface level stuff, and there are people that are there's so much more steeped in the history and philosophy of Tantra and what it brings, and I'm very much I don't know I'm pragmatic, I guess. I'm kind of like, what are the practical applications? Let's
Yeah,
get
I love that about you too.
yeah.
I love that you got into it for the practical things. And it's funny because it kind of felt like you jumped into the deep end. Like you weren't really on, like you weren't digging into like trauma work, or you're just like, let me just go straight into the deep end
Yeah,
with this
let's
trauma,
just
with this
yeah.
tantra.
I just opened up the heart and was like, let's go. I was talking to my mentor, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks ago, and we were talking about. He said, "Remind me again, when did we first meet?" And I told him, he's like, "Really? It seems like you've been doing this forever." Now it's only been a couple of years, man. Like, you are moving so fast through this stuff. Like, well, it what is it they say? It takes a long time to become an overnight success.
Aha.
By the time I got into it, I was ready for it. So, it's just been, and the other thing is, I think you know this, I know you know this, like when you do find your space and you accept it, the universe opens up the doors for you, right? So I know I'm on the right track because like the wheels have just been greased for me at every step.
Wow.
Every door has opened, everything that's needed to happen for me has happened exactly the way it needed to get me where I am today. And I know, after years of searching, I know that I am deeply in my calling. I am deeply in my purpose, and I just have no interest in or desire to do anything else at this point. I
Ah,
just want to get deeper and
that's
richer into
Yeah,
this.
that's desire is how we that I believe that desire is the mechanism that takes us to our life purpose.
Yeah.
Just most people
That's,
don't, they've been trained out of their desires for so long.
well,
They don't have access to.
it's the difference between fear and love, right? There's so much fear that we want to run away from that we never stop to take time of the love we want to run towards.
Yeah,
It's
that contraction versus
yeah,
expansion. Yeah.
yeah,
I have a proposal for you. What would you be interested in going live,
yeah.
talking this stuff?
Sure, I'll go live with you. We can talk.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
it's like this, but live.
yeah, I would do that. Yeah, and take
Okay.
questions, that kind of thing. I
Yep.
mean, I'll do the best I can. Sure, I don't have any, like, as I check in with myself, I don't have any contraction there. Who knows what kind of shit will come out of my mouth? But it is what
That's
it
the
is.
best
Yeah, this
part.
is me.
Yeah. Oh, it would be so fun.
So
And it
I
would
would love to do
be,
that.
yeah, it would be even deeper.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask, and I mean, ask you because I had this feeling of like, well, maybe you want to do like a webinar or something. Like, you want to do a group thing, and maybe I could get on and take questions from your audience.
That
And so
would be
live is a way to do that too.
great.
I would be, you're in Arizona, right?
Yeah.
Tell me where again? You're in the
Phoenix-ish,
Phoenix area.
like
Okay.
Queen Creek.
And so this is so interesting. This isn't necessarily podcast worthy. This is just me sharing. These
Yeah.
doors open for me sometimes where as I've started to do more work and my reputation is out in the world, I have a couple of women who approached me about, would I come to Florida for a week, and because they want the work, like they want to receive the tantric massage, and then they would help me book up the whole week
Yeah.
for their like other women in their lives.
Okay. So like some
So that happened.
partnerships.
So that happened, and now someone reached out in Austin yesterday, and someone reached out from Richmond, Virginia, all for this. Like, would I do a road show and provide this service? And I hadn't thought about that. I'm like, yeah, why not? So I reached out
Okay.
to someone yesterday in Dallas, someone out in Alberta, Canada, like these kinds like, hey, what about this? Just say I could level this up and do it in a very different way, um, and provide support. Like, I do my own coaching, but if I could provide something that would be of value as an add-on to your work and support you and your clients, why wouldn't I do that?
Yeah, that would be
Uh,
awesome. Okay, I'll
think
think
about it.
about that. Yeah, I'll think about that for sure.
And when you're in Austin, when you're in the Austin, San Antonio area, I would be, if you felt good about it, it would be my honor to serve you.
That would
Uh,
be awesome.
I
I
would be,
love Austin.
yeah, I would feel honored and privileged for the opportunity to take you through whatever level of experience would be comfortable. Nothing that I would push you into, of course,
You're
but
the best.
I would, it would be my honor to do that.
Oh, you're the best. I'm going to think about that partnership because
Yeah,
this is my year. 2025 is my year of partnership. So I am all about that. I think that when the healers come together, there's freaking magic. So
I agree. Yeah, my year is about create, connect, and collaborate. So it's all working out that way. And I've just had this epiphany for my own work. Can I share this? Like, are you over time? Am I
no,
taking too
no.
much time?
I have a few more minutes.
That, when I first started this work, I started it largely because women were gravitating towards me. I wasn't necessarily out looking or marketing. It's just word of mouth, and this is how it happened. And now what I'm finding is that other healers are coming to me, women like yourself, and there are several. I could rattle off a half a dozen names, and I have just been feeling like maybe my calling is not to be on the front line. It is to be in support of women like you who are healing other women,
Mhm.
where like maybe I'm part of your tribe and I'm able to support your clients in a way somehow. I don't know. I haven't quite worked this out, but there's something that feels right about that because um, what I'm finding is that healers don't often have ways of keeping themselves resourced. They give and give and give and give and give.
Yeah.
Um,
That's what my guidance team is always telling me.
yeah. Who
You
takes care of
need
you?
you need to receive more. You're not
Yeah.
receiving enough.
That's this goddess bath that I did
You're
was that.
depleting your
It
energy.
was
Yep.
that. It was these women who are they're givers and givers and givers. And I have been talking about that, and they've been talking about cord cutting. And I had this weird, like, I was napping and had this vision of like a woman, like me sitting against the wall, and a woman sitting in front of me with her back to my chest, and all of these different colored cords running into her body,
Mm.
right? Just moved like thousands, hundreds or thousands of all these cords. And she's giving and she's serving all the people at the other end of these cords. And as I notice, I'm just sitting there, I'm letting her do her thing. As I notice that she's getting depleted, I just kind of, my arms and my aura just move around her, and all of those cords get interrupted. They're not cut, they're not gone, nobody's hurt. They're just closed for a while, and she's in this bubble where she can relax and she can rest and she can sleep for a while. And then it opens back, I open back up, and I'm not controlling anything. It's just this is what it means to be a protector of someone's energy. Like,
Mm.
just close it in, like protect for a while, serve yourself for a while. I'm not doing anything. I'm just protecting this space for you to take care of yourself. And then opening that back up again so that she can carry on with her mission and her work.
Mm.
Because she's just
Beautiful.
not apt to, by the time she realizes that she needs to take care of herself, she's completely depleted,
Yeah.
right? She has way overgiven.
That's what we do.
And, you get into this state where if you don't take care of your body, it will demand you take care of it, and at a time that's not convenient for you. Um,
Yeah.
and so I don't know. That's a really I'm sharing
Beautiful.
I'm sharing this with you
I
because I
love it.
keep feeling like I'm being called into something here, but even I don't really know exactly what it is.
Okay.
So these things are
I'm
coming
gonna
up.
feel into it. I'm gonna see what that's all about, but and see how that could work out. But that would be quite beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but for now, you do want to do the live thing.
I do. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm gonna need. Are you thinking? Do you have a thought about when you would want to do this?
Maybe a couple weeks.
Yeah, I think so. That good.
Okay.
Okay. Because I'm like super booked this week. I'm going to. So I'm doing something. This is edgy. I am going for one area I've never been in. I think I mentioned this last week is the white, pink, and red tantra. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So again, like white tantra practice would be like yoga or breath work. Pink tantra would be something like eye gazing or the 3 minute game. Red tantra, then that starts to really bring in sexual energy. So like the Kama Sutra practice would be a red tantra practice. Even if you brought it in with just your a couple, but it really gets into the details of sexuality. And then there's black tantra, which is really intense and challenging, and it's about playing with power. It can even be somewhat dangerous. So I'm going on a weekend this weekend for something that would I think be considered black tantra,
Oh.
because it's an exploration of rejection, surrender, and death through the
Oh.
lens of BDSM and sadomasochism, which I have no experience in and have never really thought about doing that. But there's just something about the themes of rejection, surrender, and death. And I'm like, okay, and this is me not, I'm not teaching, I'm not, I'm not, uh, I'm not assisting, I'm not in I'm going as a student to who the hell knows? And that's really like I'm
Okay, you got to let me know how that goes.
having to let go of the need. Not I'm having to let go of the need to know and just
That's
showing up
awesome.
like I don't know what's going to happen here. And I'll be honest, like I've been in spaces where like I'm the one who breaks down and cries like a baby, if you can imagine it. Like I'm a pretty tender-hearted dude, and some things get to me, and I'm like, this might, I don't know.
Well, I'll be sending all my love with you so
Thank
you
you.
can endure it. It has been so wonderful. And I will send you some dates that we could do the live thing, and I will
All
keep you
right,
posted for that.
that'll be our third date.
Yep. It's always such a pleasure. You are full of wisdom, and I enjoyed it so much.
I appreciate you, and I appreciate the way that you ask questions, and your receptivity to your own learning. And I feel like I mean, I'm a guest on your podcast, but I want to ask you all these questions too about
Oh,
your own.
you
So,
should next time.
yeah, next time
Next time you get to ask me
good.
if you
Okay.
feel led to, yeah?
I feel led to. I want to.
Okay, cool. We'll do that next time.
Tammy, I appreciate this connection so much. I feel like we're meant to do something together.
We
So
are. We totally are, and we will.
amazing.
Okay,
Well,
have
good.
a wonderful day.
You too. Bye bye.